Something big is coming this Independence Day. But it's not fireworks. It's looking to be a complete disaster. This is Kyle Becker, and welcome to Explain America. Before we dive into this, please be sure to like, comment, and share this story, and follow Explain America for more stories the mainstream media won't touch. Now, here's what's going on. Radical Democrats are planning a No Kings 2.0 protest on July 4th. If that phrase seems familiar, it should. The last one led to mass protests and even violence. And based on everything we're seeing, this could be a test run for something even bigger and more dangerous on America's birthday. And it's not just rhetoric. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz is expected to honor and endorse the No Kings rally in Minneapolis, despite the fact that the man who just assassinated two Democrat state lawmakers had printed No Kings flyers in his car. That's not according to me. That's according to police officials. And Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison, he stood by his decision to speak at the rally, even just hours after these grisly murders. He even delivered a disgustingly partisan speech, according to RNC Committeeman A.K. Kamara, calling President Trump a dictator who wants to be a king. This is outrageous. Now, let me just say, as a trained political scientist, that you do not have dictators who preside over countries where there is a 95% negative mainstream media coverage and there are rogue judges defying his orders on dozens and dozens of occasions, and also mass violence and rioting in the streets in opposition to law enforcement operations. They don't have sanctuary cities either. So this whole idea that Donald Trump is a dictator is absolute nonsense. It is quite literally the opposite of a dictatorship, because he's been under siege by the radical left for over a decade. They engaged in campaign surveillance against him. They undermined his presidency with fake investigations and operations to sabotage him. Their bureaucrats in the deep state, they absolutely hamstringed him for much of his presidency. And then they framed him over and over again, including in two impeachment operations. So the Democratic Party doesn't really have anything to say about dictatorships, because we just lived through a Biden administration where they engaged in lockdowns, they closed down schools, they issued mask mandates and other mandates. They are one of the most authoritarian parties to ever arise in American politics. So if anything, on Independence Day, we should be revitalizing our belief in freedom and no taxation without representation and independence and all of these things that led to the American Revolution to begin with. States' rights, freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, and freedom of religion. But if you're going to organize on America's birthday, it should be celebrating the ideals that made this country great, peacefully and patriotically. And it looks like the radical left is not able to do this. The No Kings movement has been linked to escalating violence, from ICE protests to riots over deportation orders. There is a 500% increase in attacks on ICE agents trying to enforce the law. And according to national security sources, the Chinese Communist Party is also looking to tap into this growing rebellion that is being fueled by radical NGOs and aided by the Democratic Party, which continues to ratchet up its hyperbole to get chaos in the streets. In other words, the Communist Chinese are looking to fuel domestic arrests in the United States on Independence Day. That's a fact. Look at Anna Paulina's statement in the Congress on this.
I do believe that you should be made aware of, if you are not already, that you are working with and going to be speaking at an organization and rally that not is just funded by Christy Walton, the heiress of Walmart, but also has ties to the Chinese Progressive Association, largely funding it, that actually brags on their website that they are pro-Maoist. And when you use brown people, just like they use black people with BLM and Marxists during BLM to usher that in, when you use brown people and you put Mexican flags with them saying that you stand up for illegal immigrants, but you follow the money and it's going back to the Communist Party, what you're essentially doing is using your platform as elected officials, the trust that the American people have put in you, essentially to usher in communism. You're not actually fighting for American values. Don't roll your eyes, because it's a serious topic, and that's where the money's coming from.
Indeed. And by the way, this brown person wants nothing to do with those leftists. Let's expand the conversation with Florida Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna. It's great to see you, Congresswoman. How concerned are you that not only is the Democrat Party ideologically aligned with communist China, but online sleuths and congressional Republicans, they're tracking Democrats funneling taxpayer dollars to these NGOs that are closely tied to the CCP?
So I'm very concerned about, so much so that we are launching an investigation into this on oversight, at least into Mr. Singham, and I've also talked to Chairman Comer about issuing a subpoena to George Soros, which I think he's going to. And then I actually just received a message today from Representative Van Drew, who's in New Jersey, that actually said on his subcommittee, of which he's a chairman, they're going to explicitly be looking at George Soros's interferences in our election process. So look, this is something that's been well overdue. Look, this is my second term in office. And so I definitely think it should have been done before my time. But what I will tell you is, because of the fact that, you have great investigative journalists like Data Republican, like these other individuals that are bringing attention to this, even to Laura Loomer's credit, she's also been really good on tying down some of the money that Neville Singham's wife has been funneling into Code Pink, which is also, doing the same thing to sow division in this country. I would say that, they're doing the groundwork, and it's our job in Congress to follow up. But look, there's a lot of people in Congress that can get weak stomachs on these topics. And so we need the American people to hold them accountable.
So this is the same kind of revolutionary language we saw right before the Summer of Love in 2020. So this is what happens when you add left-wing agitators, coordinated messaging, foreign influence, and July 4th. Let's just say, if there isn't violence, it'll be a miracle. And while American families are planning cookouts, parades, and fireworks to celebrate our freedom and independence, these radicals are preparing for violent confrontation by all appearances. Because to them, America's founding wasn't a miracle, it was some kind of oppression. Well, let's pray for our country. And remember, no matter what they try to do in the streets, there's still more of us than there are of them. And we are going to keep our composure and have common sense and support the President of the United States. We don't have to agree with him. We don't have to agree with all of his policies, but we're going to remain loyal to them, because under the Biden administration and the Obama administration, there was really more than enough reasons for patriotic Americans to be upset with our government. We continue to be loyal, tried to look for sensible and rational solutions, and I implore people to continue to do that.